I want to tell you about a night I will never forget. I was driving back home from a late shift at the diner. The sky was clear, stars twinkling like 1,000 tiny promises. As I drove along the deserted country road, a sudden burst of light illuminated the sky. At first, I thought it was a shooting star, but then the light grew brighter, descending rapidly. My heart pounded as I pulled over, unable to take my eyes off the strange spectacle. The light landed with a soft thud in the field just beyond the trees. Curiosity got the better of me. I stepped out of the car and cautiously made my way toward the landing site, heart racing with a mix of fear and excitement. What I saw next changed my life forever. My name is Jack Reynolds. I'm just a regular guy from a small town in Ohio, working as a cook at the local diner. Life had always been pretty straightforward until that night. I didn't believe in UFOs or aliens, but witnessing that mysterious craft landing made me question everything. As I approached the site, the light dimmed, revealing a sleek, silver spacecraft unlike anything I'd ever seen. It looked otherworldly, and my instincts told me to run. But something kept me rooted in place. Suddenly, a hatch opened and a figure emerged. She stepped out cautiously, her eyes scanning the surroundings. She was tall, with pale blue skin that shimmered under the moonlight, and her eyes, large and dark, held an intelligence that was both fascinating and intimidating. I was about to turn and leave when she spoke. "Do not be afraid," she said in a voice that resonated in my mind rather than my ears. I swallowed hard, mustering the courage to respond. "Who are you?" "My name is Alara," she replied. "I come in peace. I need your help." "What kind of help?" I asked, still wary but unable to ignore the sincerity in her eyes. "My spacecraft is damaged. I need assistance to repair it. Will you help me?" The logical part of my brain screamed at me to walk away, but something in her gaze told me she was genuinely in need. "Okay," I said, nodding slowly. "I'll help you." Helping an alien wasn't something I'd ever considered, but there was something about Alara that made it impossible to refuse. Over the next few days, I helped her repair her damaged spacecraft, learning more about her and her world. Despite our differences, we grew closer. One evening, as we sat by the fire, she shared stories of Valtoria, her home planet. "It's a beautiful world," she began, her voice tinged with nostalgia. "Lush forests, crystal clear waters, and skies that shimmer with hues you can't even imagine. But it's been ravaged by war." "What happened?" I asked, leaning closer. "A civil war," she replied, her eyes reflecting pain. "Our planet was torn apart by factions vying for control. Many of us sought refuge elsewhere, hoping to find peace." "That sounds terrible," I said, feeling a pang of sympathy. "I can't imagine living through that." She nodded, her expression softening. "It hasn't been easy, but meeting you has given me hope." We spent hours talking, sharing stories of our respective worlds. She was fascinated by Earth's diversity, while I was captivated by her advanced knowledge and the elegance with which she described Valtoria. As days turned into weeks, our bond deepened. Despite the inevitable challenges, cultural misunderstandings, language barriers, and the ever-present danger of her being discovered, we found solace in each other. One night, as we worked on her spacecraft, Alara suddenly stopped and looked at me. "Jack, why are you helping me?" I paused, caught off guard by the question. "I don't know," I admitted. "Maybe because I can see you're not just some alien. You're a person, and you need help." She smiled, a genuine warmth in her eyes. "Thank you, Jack. Your kindness means more to me than you know." As we continued working on the spacecraft, I found myself constantly intrigued by Alara's presence. Her knowledge of technology was beyond anything I'd ever seen. One night, as we sat by the fire, I decided to ask her more about her world. "Tell me more about Valtoria," I said, poking the fire with a stick. She looked at me, her eyes reflecting the flames. It's a place of incredible beauty, Jack. We have forests that stretch as far as the eye can see, with trees that glow in the dark. Our oceans are so clear, you can see the bottom even in the deepest parts. But all that beauty has been marred by war. What caused the war? I asked, genuinely curious. A struggle for power, she replied with a sigh. Different factions wanted control over our resources. It started as a political conflict, but quickly escalated into a full-blown war. Many lives were lost, and countless cities were destroyed. I shook my head, unable to fathom such devastation. I'm sorry, Alara. I can't imagine what that must be like. It's been hard, she admitted, but I've always believed that there's hope, even in the darkest times. Meeting you has reaffirmed that belief. Her words touched me deeply, and I found myself drawn to her in ways I couldn't fully understand. As the days passed, our bond grew stronger. We laughed together, shared stories, and even managed to find moments of joy despite the looming threat of discovery. One evening, as we were finishing up the last of the repairs, I turned to her and asked, Alara, what will you do once your ship is fixed? She looked thoughtful for a moment. I'm not sure, Jack. Part of me wants to go back to Valtoria and try to help rebuild. But another part of me wants to stay here, with you. My heart skipped a beat at her words. You'd really consider staying? She nodded, her expression serious. Yes, I've grown to care for you, Jack. More than I ever thought possible. Before I could respond, a loud noise interrupted us. We turned to see a group of government agents approaching, their flashlights cutting through the darkness. Panic surged through me as I realized they had found us. Jack, you must help me, Alara pleaded, her eyes wide with fear. Without thinking, I stepped in front of her, facing the agents. She means no harm. Please, just let her go. One of the agents, a stern-looking man named Agent Carson, stepped forward. Step aside, Mr. Reynolds. This is a matter of national security. No, I said firmly. You don't understand. She's not a threat. The tension escalated, and just as it seemed all hope was lost, Alara placed a hand on my shoulder. It's okay, Jack. I'll go with them. No, I protested, but she gave me a reassuring look. They won't hurt me, she whispered. I'll find a way back to you. With a heavy heart, I watched as the agents took her away. Days turned into weeks, and I found myself constantly worrying about Alara. The agents had taken her to a secret facility, and I had no way of knowing if she was safe. My mind raced with thoughts of her being experimented on, or worse. One night, as I was sitting on my porch, a familiar light appeared in the sky. My heart leaped with hope. The light descended, and Alara emerged from the shadows. Jack, she said softly, her voice trembling. I escaped. I rushed to her, embracing her tightly. I was so worried about you. They tried to understand me, but I managed to convince them that I wasn't a threat. I couldn't stay there, Jack. I had to come back to you. We need to leave, I said urgently. They'll be looking for you. She nodded. I know. We need to find a place where they won't find us. We quickly packed what little we had and left Ohio behind. We drove for days, staying off the main roads and avoiding any potential checkpoints. Eventually, we found a secluded cabin in the mountains, far from prying eyes. As we settled into our new life, the reality of our situation began to sink in. We were fugitives, constantly looking over our shoulders. But despite the danger, we found happiness in each other's company. One evening, as we sat by the fire, Alara looked at me with a smile. Thank you, Jack. For everything. I took her hand in mine, feeling a warmth spread through me. I'd do it all over again, Alara. You're worth it. We knew we couldn't stay in one place for too long. The government would continue searching for her. With a heavy heart, we decided to keep moving, never staying in one place for more than a few months. As we drove away from the cabin, I looked at Alara, her hand in mine. "What's next for us?" She smiled, her eyes filled with hope. "A new beginning, Jack. A chance to explore this world together." Our love had been tested, but it only made us stronger. Together, we faced an uncertain future, but we did so with the knowledge that our bond could withstand anything.
What did you think of Jack and Elara's love story? Share your thoughts in the comments below and subscribe for more intriguing tales of human and alien connections.